Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Another day. Talk about the same old stuff.
Please.
It's all there is to talk about, one without a second. The non-dual, ever-fresh presence awareness. Presence awareness. Awareness is timeless. Can't say it begins anywhere, can't say it ends anywhere. And you are that. Everything is that. Patterning, shaping, forming, experiencing and expressing informs patterns, shapes. The one essence, appearing and expressing as everything. And that's what the non-duality we talk about is. Not two, not other, only that, which we understand already in our language. That's the chair, that's the table, that's the space, that's the room, that's the sun, that's you, that's me. Everything is that which we discriminate with words, labels. And the word is not the real. The description is not the described. The map is not the territory. And we're told, and that's how it is. So, if I am that, which the belief is there, that, or the knowing is there, that I am, and I am is that, I'm not relating or referring to this body, mind, pattern that's appearing. I'm referring to the essence of that pattern, the thatness of it. The thatness, you can't say it is not. It is. And all pattern, shapes and forms are the isness. That is. Nothing other. And be as you are. Not as you will be or like to be or could be. And the true isness that you are has no shape, has no form, has no sounds. All these things appear or seem to be so in that business. We take them to be the isness. We say, what is? It is this, it is that. But it's just that pure, what I call, use for want of a better term, intelligence energy. And I'm not talking about your intellect when I'm talking about intelligence energy. Talking about that same intelligence that's rolling the earth around the sun, causing the tides to come and go, the galaxies to form, they implode, explode, volcanoes, oceans, islands, birds, insects, human beings. Everything is appearing. And when we label the appearance, separate it and describe it as separate things, and especially this pattern which is expressing through, which we call I am or me, we lose sight of the totality and become this separate entity, this individual, this person. And with that sense of separation comes insecurity, vulnerability, because you look out there and you see there's things that you can't say, this is what I am, this is me. And if we don't know what it is, we're fearful, anxious about it, and unhappy. So we've got to put this discriminated label trying to work it out. So all our psychological problems come about from this capacity of thinking, reasoning, and relating. Relationship is duality, relative to. When they say it's not two, it's one without a second. They put that without a second on, pointing out that there's not other, nothing other. Who are the they that's pointing to this? We call it they because in the scheme of things, in the time, seeming time, and about it seems to be there were apparent entities or individuals who recognised themselves, and traditions were formed and beliefs were formed. But the they is still only that one. Changeless, timeless, spaceless, non-dual. I am that. What's this I am? It's the sense of presence. When I learn the words I am, got to relate it to something, not realising it's the one essence. So I related to this body-mind pattern through which these words are expressing through. Words have been picked up and expressing through it. And I take it to be what I am. And seeing that that's an expression too. Just a pattern, shape and form that seemingly appeared at what we call birth. But can you remember that birth? You can't. I don't remember anything till I was about 2.5, around that age somewhere. And even that now, what I remembered then is very vague. But the same sense of presence that was there then is there now. Yeah. And that is pure presence, awareness. Awareness or a knowingness. A knowingness of that. That which is the one essence, patterning, shaping, forming, appearing and expressing as everything. Taken to believe it's a person. Person's just another word we've learned, another word, another label. Coming from the ancient Latin persona, the mask. It's not the reality. It's a mask or a conceptual image. An image, a reflection. And so Agatha tells you, nothing can trouble you except your own imagination. Image in, imagine. And have a look at it. Isn't that what we're doing? Creating conceptual mental images, concepts, our thoughts, mental constructs, ideas, images, sound, vibration. Still that same intelligence energy that's pattern shaping, forming all this wondrous, diverse manifestation. Doesn't that imply it's suffused with innate intelligence, a knowing, suffusing it? Not something that's been learnt or required, but a spontaneous intelligence. And that's the livingness, that's the life, that's the functioning. Separated, seemingly now separated and divided into this little imagined persona or mask. And the persona or mask or the conceptual image doesn't realise or recognise its completeness or wholeness, and takes on some of these concepts, ideas and images. I am Bob, the Australian, good fellow or not so good, I'm unhappy or I'm fearful or I'm joyous or I want this, I don't like that. All this psychological functioning that goes on now comes about because the word is taken to be real. Tells you in the Bible, in the beginning was the Word. Means that there was no beginning for any of these so-called pattern shapes and forms till the Word came into it. It wasn't as far as I was concerned or you were concerned either, because you had no beginning until you learnt the Word. That's why you can't remember your birth. In the beginning was Word, and the Word was God. The Word was with God. The Word was God. That's all that God is another label we put on something, on this innate intelligence energy or essence, to discriminate it as something different. We call it God. All things were made by Him, meaning by the Word. That's what the Word is God. So well, and isn't that so? We put labels on everything out there. So there was nothing made that was made or is appearing without the Word. And we've put, in the language, the learning of language, we put words on everything. Words on ourselves. As I am this person, I am this individual, I am this separate entity. And I live, I breathe, I do. The so-called I does all of these things. But can the I, the word, the thought, do anything at all? It can't. So doesn't that mean all these things are happening? There must be something other than the word that's enabling to happen. And they call it the dynamic energy of awareness. Not static, dynamic, constantly changing, constantly appearing, seemingly so. Energy. The same energy that's rolling the earth round the sun, causing the seasons to come and go. Imploding the planets, forming them, exploding. It's beating your heart. It's breathing you. It's living you right now. That same dynamic energy. But we don't leave it as that. We add it onto this conceptual image, I. Now, I believe I'm doing the living. I'm doing the breathing. I'm doing the heart beating. A conceptual image thinks it's doing any of these things. So take myself to be the reality, the actuality. Not reality. I am the reality, the essence that is enabling these patterns to shape and form to appear. And it's the one essence. I am the absolute. It's absolutely doing these things. The great perfection. It's absolutely perfect and absolute right now. Always was and always will be. And what display or appearance or expression could there be if it didn't vibrate through certain patterns, shapes and forms, or seem to, and make them seem to be real? So I've taken this pattern, shape and form. Can't do much with I, so I've added onto it I'm Bob, with my parents' joy, the label, the name, and it's this body, this particular body. It's not the same as the other patterns, shapes or forms of bodies. And the vibrations that are going through it and vibrating into sounds, words, concepts, ideas, I label mind. Mind. Mine with a D on the end of it. We'll label it to be mine, me or mine. And so Lou Sider put the mind on it, the D on it, it means it's something different altogether. And it's all this thought and reasoning, capacity of reasoning and thinking. Is all then mind. But we claim this mind to be my mind. So there's no such thing as mind apart from thought. Show me this mind you call mine. You can't. So mind is just thought. Thought is just word. Word is just sound, the vibration. Body made up of elements, air, earth, fire, water, space, broken down to subatomic particles, into vibration, into pure energy. So it is all, as they say, the dynamic energy of awareness. And the labels, the discrimination and the labels we put on it differentiates it. And all have seeming self-natures or separate powers of themselves. But it's never other than the one. So I have to recognise that. Have a look and see, investigate. Am I this body? And innately you immediately know you're not the body because you say my body. You say my house, my car, my coat, my hat. And you know innately without having to worry too much about it, that you're not the coat. Because you can dispense with the coat, you're not the hat, you can throw that away also. The house, you can live in the house, but it might not be yours if you're renting it for somebody else. My car, my house, all these things that claim to be mine, and the mine or the me is what I've claimed to be this body, mind, the shape and form. But another term for it is being, knowing and loving to be. 3 different aspects which are the same thing. And aren't you being right now? Aren't you conscious right now or happy to be? Of course you are. So you're not unaware. So you are that pure being. So you don't have to put the labels or the words on it to discriminate it. Just try and not be. That's the actuality, just try and not be. Yeah, you can say, I am not, and I'm not this, or I'm not that, I'm not the other. But do the same thing to the so-called things you believe that you are. And realise that this manifestation that the appearance is happening in is one essence. It's one totality. It can never be separate or divided. The pattern, shapes and forms are constantly changing, but it's still the one essence that's enabling that to happen. And all these different concepts come up, like then the concept of time and the belief we have it has a beginning and it has an ending. But when does now begin? Doesn't it begin right now, what you call now? When does it end? Now. And as it's ending, it's beginning again. So you can't say it is, and you can't say it is not. But it appears to be solid and substantial. While we're in this body-mind, which is seemingly time-bound, has a seeming beginning and end, and it's going to break down one day, but does that which it appears in, that disappears, is the essence still there? That has no beginning or no end? Absolutely uncorrupted, untouched, uncontaminated by anything that has ever appeared on it or in it. Take a look at that as take a movie screen, for instance. The screen is empty. The movie comes upon it and all sorts of activities take place on that screen, seemingly so, but switch the light or the thing that was coming through and reflecting on the screen, switch that off. Projection, whatever it is, switch that off. What's the screen? Empty again. Has it been shot up or cut about or damaged in any way, shape or form by the projections on it? It hasn't. Projections have come and gone. So the same with this. Now, could those projections that are appearing on the screen come from anything other than the screen itself. That's why they call it a cognising emptiness. And emptiness has this functioning of knowing, of cognising. And the Buddha pointed out that it is a cognising emptiness. And he made the statement then that emptiness is form. It's that cognising emptiness, which is no thing that you or I can say is vibrating and forming all this manifestation. But he said also that the form is nothing other than the emptiness. It means it hasn't changed its true nature. Even though all these wondrous patterns, shapes and forms are going on, it's still only the emptiness. So we think we've come from somewhere and are going somewhere. Well, what could you come from? The same as everything else, the emptiness. And where could you go to? The same as everything else, the emptiness. And it says in one of the things, emptiness here, emptiness there. Yet the infinite universe stands ever before your eyes. No difference. For all boundaries have ceased. All discrimination has ceased. It goes on to say in that words, the way is beyond language. For in it there's no yesterday, no tomorrow, and no today. So it's an amazing, as they say, dynamic display. And it's not that you and I are in it, we are it, appearing as different. And the appearance is not the reality, it's only seemingly so. Well, that'll do me, I think. Any questions?
No questions. They're just some comments. But I can't even get them.
Can you speak up? I can't hear you.
Okay, there is a question here, the last one. What is your experience life like now compared to before recognized you are that? It is only thought that there needs to be more insights and less thoughts to be clear about what is.
It's still the same as it ever was. But now it hasn't got the seeming belief or power in the words or the discrimination that one has. It's seen as an amazing display, recognised as such and enjoyed as such. Not the division, good, bad, pleasant, painful, happy, sad, is still there. But it's known that it's not separate, one is not separate from the other, they're two ends of the one stick. And it'll vibrate into one end or the other end. So it evens itself out in that display. And the so-called seeming bad things and the so-called good things, the seeming good things, will resolve themselves without doing anything about it. If anything needs to be done about it, it will be done by the same essence that's breathing me right now, beating my heart, enabling these words to appear, express, come out. Whether they're right or whether they're wrong, there's no knowing here about that at all. It just sounds happening, occurring. like outside, the energy which I can't see is causing the air to move in what we call a wind, which is moving branches, waving things around, blowing dust and things around. All happening, but nothing is really happening.
Okay, so there was another question. Dear Bob, can you explain our thoughts are relatively absolutely non-essential for living, please? Thoughts without thinker can happen spontaneously.
Thoughts without?
Can you explain our thoughts are relatively absolutely non-essential for living, please?
Yeah. Well, the thoughts are just sounds, vibration. They have their purpose, have their use. You know, like a bird or a cat has sounds that haven't got any words. Now, one sound can tell them there's danger around, another sound will tell there's food here, another sound will say look for a mate. So they have their uses, the words, sounds, when they become words, feelings, emotions, activities. They're all part of the expression, the patterning, shaping, forming of this intelligence energy, which is very useful, but the way we've taken and believed in it, it becomes self-destructive. Because it tells me I'm not good enough, or I can't do this, or I'm fearful, I'm anxious, I'm full of self-pity and resentment, guilt, shame, jealousy, envy. All those thoughts or concepts aren't good. They make for unhappiness, despair, and all the rest of it. Resistance. And the word's not the thing. Knowing that, and knowing that words are changed, will change. They're constantly transient. They're constantly changing. They can seemingly be taken aboard and seemingly fixated on, or are clinging to them and keeping them there. And we try to cling to the good, which is going to change anyway, and resist the bad, which is going to change. But there's no thought fixed in your head. Thoughts come and thoughts go. And so they'll still be there and can be utilised, but who's going to be bothered with them using you anymore when you can't relate them to a you that has any substance or any independent nature, because the life essence has no patterning, shaping and forming. But it's there.
Okay, I can read you some more comments. Unfortunately, I'll just have to read them from here, and I get disrupted every time new comment comes. So it will be hard. Oh God.
What's the matter?
Yes. Welcoming comments, and then you have no, Caroline, no problem ever. Show me problem, show me what's wrong, not right. It's always all right. No over or under. Time appears in no time. We can get it. We can't get it. We are it. No one can get anything wrong. Not all right is only in thought then, says Tanya. And Caroline answered, all is all, right, not wrong, breathe is I am. This is all in like 50 comments. I'm reading them together. Presence is mistaken for me, separate entity, Tanya says. The body is image also. Armanath says time, space, cause or person, appearance and disappearance happen simultaneously. So ultimately, no creation, no destruction, nothing is happening at all. Caroline, I won't need no thing, I'm everything, everyone, wordless, timeless. I am all pain and OSC all in one. Amarnath. What is word a thing? All words are false, yet source is the truth. Also words are expression of one reality essence. Caroline, no thing to do ever. Tanya, the word also can't know anything. Caroline, I know no thing. I'm pure love, not even that too many words. Aho, I know not. What I do not. Absolutely perfect. Yes, yes. I'm every one of you, full stop. Here, no, relief, I'm free. That's about 60 different comments. I am ultimate, know it all, haha. I don't need to know, I don't need to understand a thing. How on earth could we ever be separate from space? We are in this body-mind, or it is us, it is in us. Rohan, good morning. Armanath, dear Bob, can you explain thoughts are relatively absolutely non-essential? Okay, we've been there. What is your experience? Tanya was asking. We've been there. And I think the rest I can probably have in here. Okay. Oops. Hi everyone, sorry for that. The phone is only remembering like 6 last comments, and when I get 60, like one word in the comment, straight away I have no access.
Well, that sounded pretty good, the whole what everyone was saying.
Yes, yes. I hope everyone could hear it, because you could hear it, but I don't know how people who will be watching us. But yeah, it is what it is. We have another 6 comments. They will disappear once there is more one words. Okay, so Caroline says total freedom. No question left. Here now, bless. Richard, put your emptiness in, put your emptiness out, put your emptiness in and shake it all about. To do the empty dumpty and turn around, that's what it is about. Hey, sweet.
Good on you, Richard.
Good on you, Richard. Can you sit up a little? Tanya, how beautiful, Bob. Thank you. How is nothing happening? It is because experiencing doesn't comment and is only thought saying something is happening, or there is no time for something to happen in. That's a question for you. How is nothing happening?
Well, it's all can be broke down to no thing. There's no thing happening. The happening is occurring. That's changes happening about, but it's not happening to any particular thing. It's the one essence that's moving, vibrating and appearing as everything. So it's just a pure happening or a pure expression.
Is it only because experiencing doesn't comment and it's only through saying something is happening, or there is no time for something to happen in?
Well, certainly no time for anything to happen in. Time is a mental concept also.
Caroline, I'm this pain and this peace. And Kiran, sending love, thank you. And Tanya, yes, he does look well. That was about you looking well. How is recovery from your operation going?
Okay.
Good. And now, Kiran, when I dream at night, I often have truths come up that don't feel as accessible awake. I often feel a wisdom there.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. When possibly when the ordinary everyday thinking is in abeyance when you're asleep, you know, it gives a chance for the truth to express and appear naturally, because there's nothing standing in the way of it, no conceptual image that blocks it is in the way.
Yeah.
Well, lots of people get insights and things from in sleep, you know, and they wake up in the morning and it'll dawn on them.
And the crazy stuff can come up in the sleep as well, which is not really, I mean, crazy images or perhaps whatever, you tune into the whole field of frequencies and you pick out somebody else's memories. Like I often have situations and really, really very detailed landscapes that I certainly didn't see in any doc or any life or past life. And it just, the thoughts don't belong to anyone. So you can tune in to subconscious, collective, whatever. It's all one anyway. But that's wonderful when you get your insight and your guidance in the dream. That's it's not uncommon, and it's wonderful. Amarnath, don't fix anything. He's quoting you. He says, Sailor Bob, you said don't fix anything. I don't really understand that. Yeah, if you have the bicycle broken, fix it or something. It's just probably what he meant. Don't fixate, you know, fixate the awareness.
Fixate on the thoughts, on the concepts. Just be the awareness. And anyway, you can't fix anything because there's no you for a start of it. That's just a concept also. The I am. Is a concept.
Yeah. We've got something from Brett, which I'm looking forward to read
from
already.
Who?
From Brett, from Western Australia. Morning, Bob and Kat. Wonder surrounds. Listening to Bob speak of presence, these words evolved. The 10,000 things parading in presence. We must sing the world into existence. We must enchant. Follow presence along the path towards surprise. Peer beneath the brambles of being. Look to the sky. Court the clouds. Marry the moon. Does your purpose preach presence? Hold hands with the mystery and romance remembering. Then forget. Always forget. And dwell in the desire to dissolve. How beautiful. Yeah, dwell in the desire to dissolve. I love that. I mean, you know, put your heart where it belongs, in that silence, that emptiness. If there is a love for the truth, that love will transform the experience. That love will bring the attention to the source of all attention, all energy. And Tanya, I could hear it well. Sound is good. Oh, good. Yeah, sorry, I had to be shouting from behind the phone because I can only see last few comments on both Bob's page and my own. Melinda, looking so fantastic, Bob. Lots of love to both of you guys. Thank you, Melinda.
Yeah, thanks, Melinda. I'm glad you're going well.
Yeah. Julia, I know we have discussed before, but sometimes the clarity disappears. You feel as though you never woke up. please, can you talk about how to manage these times? It is always with inquiry.
Instead of seeing that you never woke up, realise you never went to sleep in the first place. You've always been awake.
Yeah, clarity disappears. It's like when the clarity is a sky, and when the heavy clouds cover the sky, it feels like it disappeared, but it doesn't. It's actually underneath those clouds. So yeah, I think the investigation or inquiry is a good pointer.
Yeah.
And sometimes when life forces you to attend to those clouds, there is no problem. I mean, sometimes, let's say, when we are completely taken by the appointments with the doctors and medications and stuff, there is not even a thought, or not even an absence of thought on anything else than what life wants us to attend to at the moment. And there is no division, there is no separation, there is no problem. Sometimes when the energy is required somewhere, it just goes there. And then from the hindsight we could say, oh, but where was the clarity? It's gone, it's past, it's dead. The clarity is never, the empty space is the prerequisite for the clouds, for the thoughts, for everything to appear. It's just sometimes it may feel like I need to be aware of the empty space, but empty space is always there. The I has to be gone, absent. Tas. Good morning, Bob. Earlier when you spoke of the screen and the projections appearing on it, you went on to talk of the screen emptiness and form. It seemed to spark recognition here for a split second. Could you talk a little more about that, please?
Well, what was the screen?
Yes.
Or the emptiness?
Yes.
How can you talk about emptiness? Yeah. Well, look out there. What's the first thing you see? The very first thing you see close to your eyes is space. Now, that space is empty until you get whatever comes before it. Like, realise it's in a room here. You can look out the window. Then you're in space, and all these things are appearing in space. Space is empty. There's no start, no end, no beginning. You can't give it a boundary to it, or a border, or you can't give a centre to it. Now, can you postulate or think of everything that could be outside of space? What would it be in? You realise that all this manifestation, there's only one place it could be in that space. Now, this space seemingly begins, as I say, when we look out of our eyes from seeing them. But go, look back, try and look behind your eyes. What do you see? You can't say there's anything there.
Yeah.
It's empty, so it's space. So where do you really begin? It seems solid from this point of view, but this point of view has got no static point. So it's just seeing, just hearing. Hasn't got any beginning, hasn't got any ending. Has nothing that we just said, nothing that can be postulated or thought of or happen outside of that space. Can something come from nothing? Well, it can't. And can you say what space is? You're seeing space, but can you give it a label or a beginning to it or an ending to it? You can't. So you can't say where everything is appearing in space, but you can't say what space is, and it has no beginning or ending. What's ever happened? have a dream of a night, where does it take place? Seemingly takes place in the head or in the body there somewhere. But can you pinpoint a spot in the body where you can say it is? You can't. And no centre to it, no circumference. So the same with the things that appear in. What are they enclosed in? If space was really something, where if it was something, well, could anything at all appear in it? It'd have to be space carved up, and space carved up there. Okay, I don't know.
Caroline, don't look forward or back. Wisdom is here now, Caroline says to Kiran. Amarnath, dear Bob, can you speak on memory and forgetfulness? Are both false yet useful? Memory and forgetfulness, both false yet useful?
Well, memory, that's a recalling of seeming things that have happened before that were of use. They can be utilised again, like I said with the bird, making a sound or a call, which might mean there's food here. Because it'll make that same sound when it comes upon food and bring others to the food. So that's useful to the bird. But then another one that tells you that there's danger here, the other call that comes up, that can be useful. So to get out of the road or don't go there.
I think the easy way to answer the question, everything that appears has some uses, otherwise it wouldn't have appeared. That's the way the whole appearance, the whole manifestation is designed, that it's constantly evolved because there is some uses. But what are the uses would be the story. So we can chase back, why is that useful or that useful, and we can always then relate it to something. Why is it useful for me, or useful for the survival, or useful for this? It's always relating going on. So the story about usefulness is, it could be an exciting, fascinating story, but it's not that essential. If something appears, it can be appreciated because that would have an uses.
And the other thing is, it's useful to who?
Yep, that's exactly relating.
If you didn't have the memory of that believed in person, that body mind that had a seeming beginning, who could make use of it?
That's right. Now, Amarnath, never slept. You never slept. You are always awake. No need to awake at all. He says this is what you said. He says Sailor Bob said that you never slept.
Timeless.
Yeah, the real you is the space, so it doesn't fall asleep. The body, of course, slept maybe even a few hours ago, but the body. Amarnath, screen space-like awareness self never involves in any actions, since yet appears as if involved in everything. Screen never involved in action, but it appears involved, like space appears involved.
And all the appearance has to appear in seeming something.
Mm-hmm.
But space is no thing.
Yeah.
It's appearing as something.
Mm.
So no thing has ever happened.
Nothing has ever happened.
Mm.
And we have another one. This is from John David. Whenever you remember the words of the Guru, you are in a shade of Guru's grace. Nisargadatta from prior to consciousness. Bob says to come back to the understanding again and again. You have confidence in teaching, and with this, the conviction will arise spontaneously. 1,000 might fall at your side, and the 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. This is from Psalm 91:7.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's one I like to quote too, because it's going on all around, like 99% of what's going on in the world doesn't come near me.
Yeah.
But the bit that used to hang on to and make it my business to cling on to a lot of it, that resolves itself also. Just leave it as it is.
And now we have Bill. When I close my eyes, there is no thing but space. Drop thought as well, and all disappears.
Yeah, when you close your eyes, what's behind the lid's darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And we think that little bit of skin can shut out the world.
Yeah. And effectively it does.
Yeah.
That's how real and solid the world is. And I think we are all good. Yeah, if I missed out on any comments, I apologize, and please relate to it or answer to it, then I'll read it again, because yeah, we have old phones, they very limited.
It's amazing the comments that are coming through now. People are seemingly opening up more and more, where a lot of people were, I think, fearful of expressing what their concepts or ideas or thoughts were, or their way of expressing it. Now they're getting the confidence in it, and most of those concepts were right on the ball this morning from different people, so-called different people, taking the boundaries off and starting to recognise that their real essence and let it express. Beautiful.
Yeah, I see if I have any new. No. Yeah, Amarnath. Bob, can you speak on thread of I am the body on which ignorance is created, please?
Speak on what thread?
Thread of I am the body on which ignorance is created.
Well, as soon as we say, I am the body, we believe we are this person,
Yes.
this individual. It comes about from your parents teaching you words. And you say, oh, I'm little Johnny, you're little Johnny, or little Billy, or whatever your name is, or your little Jane, or Jean, And then you start recognising and say, I am Bob. And then whatever that's concepts you've added onto that label already, you add them on. Instead of just saying it's a conceptual image, now it's a seeming solid, substantial image. Bob, the Australian, the good fellow, the not so good.
Yes.
And what was the rest of it?
Can you speak on thread of I am, the body on which ignorance is created?
Yeah. So we've got this conceptual idea of a body, person, separate entity, and we're ignoring our true nature. Our true nature is that it can't be divided, can't be separated. It is absolute, complete, total, whole, and it's ever fresh and ever new. Now we've got the idea that this conceptual image, and ignore that true nature. I was born and I'm having a bad trot, or things are going well for me, or whatever, and put all these concepts on it. And then the trying comes about, the struggle, the resistance, conflict and uneasiness comes about from ignoring our true nature.
Yes, now we have Jane. This is because of your generosity and encouragement and selfless teaching. This is why the such a nice lucid comments are coming, I guess. That's and Jane also says, love you, Bob.
Love you, Jane.
I am boundaryless, says Caroline. And Tanya, all this is very simple, isn't it? Reality or truth is what is here without the words. Even with the words, there is just experiencing, no separation. Only thought ever says that you are not that.
Yes, as I tell you in the scripture, it's that simple that we miss it. Nothing simpler than one. And it's not even one. So what can be simpler than that?
And bountiful, Caroline says. Jane, love you. And Bill, thanks for the beautiful sailors with love. Thank you, Bill. And Caroline answering to Tanya, all words are welcome here. And Bill says, Caroline says to Bill, beautifully expressed. Here we are.
Words cease, silent. Silence becomes more evident, and like Nisargadatta says, my silence sings. And it does, it brings up a joyousness, a happiness. My emptiness is full. And that's complete. So the fullness and emptiness, the sounds and silence. You can't take anything away from it. No. You can't add anything to it. Just what is. Unaltered, unmodified, uncorrected. Everything is as it is. Right here, right now. And it's always here, wherever you are, and it's always now, whatever time you think of it.
Got some comment. Caroline says, spontaneous laughter. And Michael, beautiful to see you both so light and happy. Can you talk to feelings without thoughts, or painful experiences stored between language and concept? Can inquiry using mind help with that, or are there other techniques you'd recommend? Painful experiences stored between the language and concepts. So do you mean, I'm not very sure, like something perhaps like a nervous tic, that because of a trauma you suddenly get this sort of a tic, or because I'm not very sure what is that one referring to.
Well, if it's a painful experience, how would you know?
Yeah, you know it through the memory.
Through the memory, yeah. It's a fresh and new experience, fresh and new sensation.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you put the old label on it, you go right into it and you can become it. See it fresh and new, test it out.
Yeah. Yeah, seeing everything fresh and new, being curious about whatever the life is bringing moment to moment, like really having that attitude of open, curious, welcoming, sort of being that field for whatever shows up. If there is something in the body or in the mind or between them or whatever that needs healing, that needs attention, in that open, curious field, it will call for the attention, it will demand attention. And that attention, if it is not tinted with judgment or with rejection of what is, that very attention is that kind of energy that evens up, the water that always evens up to the most optimal level. So whenever there is sort of a that sort of a experience that you can't actually even grasp properly, the experience of unworthiness or unlovability, you don't even know whether it comes from trauma or where is it coming from, and you can't put it in words or images, but there is a kind of like almost a suction for attention. It wants healing. But when the attention goes there, oh no, I don't want to feel it, I need the drink, I need the chocolate, I need the shopping, that's not that's resistance. But when that or whatever other energetic hole is met in that curious open field, that water or energy or attention will even the flow. It may not take a moment, some of those holes, they recreate themselves, they become patterns. They're like leaks of energy, like holes in a system through which that energy gets wasted, like even the habitual self-judgment or self-criticism. So those will need that flow of non-judgmental, curious attention, perhaps repeatedly. The less of the thinking, the less of the methods, because the moment you come up with the method, you're going to be doing it wrong, or it's not going to be working, and you're going to be disappointed, you're going to be having expectations towards the results, and a lot of mind stuff will get entangled. But really just staying in that non-conceptual, open, curious space, that's the healing. That's what meditation is aiming to do. Like just really sitting in your heart and letting things resolve without the interference of the resistance coming from the story and believing in judgments and stuff.
The pain, if the pain's physical, well, it's the essence telling you to do something about this.
Yes.
Treat it. But if it's mental, psychological, it's just a sensation that we've labelled, and we've gone into the labelling of the sensation instead of seeing the sensation as fresh and new. We put the old label on it. This is fear, this is anxiety, this is...
Yes, Caroline answered, yes, emptiness is full. And Amarnath, Bob, is there any need for solitude or silence? Being in isness, emptiness is not affected by words or actions.
No, there's no need. It's just another way of patterning, shaping, forming, and seemingly expressing to seem someone.
And if the energy is pulling or calling, and you find yourself sitting alone or whatever, that's again an opportunity to give credit where credit is due. It's not because it was needed, it is because it happened. Life had it this way. In some people, the life would have it this way, in some it wouldn't. Like Bob spent most of his life being married. That's not really exactly being alone. And if you know him as being married, he's really with it, in it.
Being what?
In a relationship, in a marriage. But the fact that when you met Nisargadatta, you were not. You were alone. There was a breakup, and that helped in the moment of seeing through. But where that aloneness needed, in some cases it may, in some others it may not. Life resolves it either way. Now, Caroline says, not my emptiness. And she's laughing. Now a clock. We are Bob. No teacher, no student. Before language, Michael says, at early age. Michael is referring to that events that are stored before the language was learned, like maybe birth trauma or something. Whether that can be resolved in any way. If it needs resolving, it will call for attention. And there are ways that in which that call for attention is exercised. You may hear about some techniques, or you may hear about some gentle way of massaging or acknowledging. Yeah, life always resolves it. There is no one tool fits all. Although if it's collectively believed, even that might help. But yeah, just being open really for the solutions. If you feel that there is something from early childhood that needs to be resolved, and it is a persistent feeling, coming back and asking for attention, yeah, absolutely, let it guide you. What is pain, Caroline is asking? What is trauma? Jane, please talk about thought, feeling and emotion being one.
Well, first of all, there's a subtle thought comes up. And let's keep that there for a while. And the very keeping it there, what that thought is, becomes the feeling or sensation. Sensation becomes a feeling which we put some label on. Oh, this one's fear, or this one's anger, or this one's uneasiness or unhappiness. We label it, put that label on it. Now keep that there long enough, keeping that uneasy state of fear, anxiety, then it'll stir up the body feelings, the emotions in the body. Become the tears or the activities of anger or depression or guilt or whatever. So it's all thought-based. Thought, feeling and emotion. Just the same like in nature, it's all functioning the same out there in the emptiness, you know. There's steam, like when I say the water gets evaporated, it becomes steam. Which is just two gases in the first place, I think. It becomes a liquid. And then the steam, it condenses, it cools down, becomes water. And then the water can get colder and solidify, becomes ice. But the thought, feeling and emotion, starts off with a basic vibration of energy called thought. And the other way, like the steam, water and ice, it all comes about from a vibration again, you know. Gases, hydrogen, oxygen, becomes water. And the water, the sun evaporates the water and heats it, becomes steam. Then it solidifies again or condenses, and from coming from more than the water, it becomes ice. To get a more comfortable seat.
Yeah, we'll get it next week. Yeah.
So if you recognise the sensation, or the thought comes up, very subtle, and you realise it's just a sensation, it's a vibration, a subtle vibration going on, which we can now label as thought, and the sensation, when it's being there, has gone into the body and causing that feeling in the body, and then it gets more entangled in the body, it stirs the body up and becomes the emotion. Yeah. But it's only the one vibration that's vibrating in a different pattern, shapes and forms. Same essence.
Yeah, in the body it is a sensation, in the mind it is interpretation of the sensation. But it is the same one and the same thing. Caroline says, Guru, Guru, and Brett. Kat, many weeks ago you spoke of a meditation technique or practice concentrating on many objects as one, I think. At the time it struck a chord, but now I can't recall your guidance. Can you please speak to this again, if my question makes sense? Thank you. I think it was just elaborating on the pointer that Bob often uses, and is also coming from ancient scriptures about unfixated awareness. Kind of awareness that doesn't really stick to anything. Like, there are techniques in which you are following or watching the flame of a candle, and that stills your mind, or you repeat the mantra and that stills your mind. Having the awareness unfixated, that is kind of open completely, the field of vision is open, the field of hearing is open. That one is just kind of, it doesn't, without that fixation, you can't constitute the self, you can't constitute anything. And the easy way to access that unfixated awareness is to deliberately overload the mind with fixation. Like, if you fixate on few objects at the time, you only have limited processing capacity. The machinery, the computer, will be overloaded and it will kind of hang, it will stop. The easy thing to do is to focus on few different sounds in few different directions and hold them in the field of attention. At that point, you can't again construct the self, the separate self. And also, it is really, really pleasant way of being. And Bob again is bringing up that example of walking on the beach and being with all the elements. You walk barefoot on the sand and you feel the sensation of your skin touching the sand. You feel the warm wind. You feel that you hear the sound of the waves. You actually have the whole field of sensations open up. Your eyes are open, your ears, your all the senses basically open. And when they are all open, there is not very much going on in the narrative, because everything needs energy. When the energy goes into the being present, because the hearing, the sounds, they only now, they present now. The scenes, if you look at things, they only present now. The sensations in the body, where you walk or where you stay, or when you feel your face or your tensions, sensations in your mouth, even feeling, tasting your tongue or smelling things, they are all present sensation. So now the whole field of attention is overloaded with presence. You are completely, fully present with the sensations, and there is not much of the attention available to narrate, to chat in the head, to take you to the past and future, pleasure, pain, judgments.
Yeah, you're not stuck on the one thing if you're unfixated.
Yes. It's just a pleasurable way to be. Also, it
If you
could
fi-
be a practice if it's. I don't think it is like if you take it to be a practice, suddenly there is a you and you do it well, or you're not doing well and you have expectations. That narrative going with the practice, being a practitioner, it's not necessary. But
Yeah.
I don't really see myself walking or driving in any other way anymore, because the narrative is just not that attractive anymore. Because perhaps my heart is with what is rather than with what isn't, which is the chatter. Chatter is always talking about stories, not about the immediacy. Now, Amarnath, don't mix ever fresh, new, spontaneous awareness with memory. He is quoting you, Sailor Bob. You said, don't mix ever fresh, new, spontaneous awareness with memory. Interesting. Jane, yes, all conflict can be healed by inquiry. Who is it happening to? Yeah. And Jane, you are the silence. Then everything appears upon it. The silence is always there. Silence, presence, love, truth, light, pure intelligence, energy are always right here, right now. Beautiful. Whenever you remember the words, Caroline is answering to but I just can't find that comment ever again. Sorry. Whenever you remember the words John David was quoting, Caroline says she loves it. And I am all, darkness, all pain too, Caroline says. And Tanya, beautiful Jane, what a great pointer. As I read that, what you are pointing to is clear. Thank you. Beautiful. And Caroline, and I am all right, total, loss of all control. Amarnath, don't label as thought, see as just vibration pattern, see as awareness only. And Caroline says, no, do, no, don't. Do, no, don't. Unfixated awareness, Brett says, that's it. Thank you. And Julia, it's incredible that you can get so lost in mind energy despite this knowing. Miraculous. Amazing. Yeah, it is. That's why they say the awakening is not once-off event. You are awake now, you were asleep before a certain day. It is ever fresh. It is either now or never.
Timeless.
Timeless, yeah. There might be a threshold after which the narrative never comes back to that self-obsession again, but it doesn't mean that daydreaming stop, unless there is a brain damage, as Bob says. The daydreams still go on, and with the, I don't know, perhaps with putting more heart into the presence, less of it is available in the thinking. So then thoughts are less and less attractive. Gradually, you said you walked out from Nisargadatta after the breakthrough realization that you are not what you thought you were. And the daydream started right outside the door. The mind took over because that was the
habit
pattern. Yeah.
Habit pattern. It went on for years and years without even questioning it.
Yes.
Start to investigate, start to question, and the false cannot stand up to investigation. If something is false, you'll see through it.
Yeah. Amarnath, false cannot stay to investigation. False cannot stay. Yeah, Bob likes to say false cannot stand up to investigation. Caroline is replying to Julia, that is incredible that you can get so lost. Caroline says, lost my mind months ago and loving it. True or false? Yeah, the my, that's a nice way to say it. Caroline says my, quote unquote. So the mind, the thinking, the habit of conceptualizing, labeling, naming experiences, comparing, calculating, planning, all of those wonderful capacities are still there. But how are they my? Now they may be not my, not in the same sense. Like the commentary goes on and comments, but this is not my, so I don't have to worry about the content of it. This doesn't really bother me. I don't really even have to listen to it, because who cares? When it was my, it was important, it was relevant, it was whatever. But now it's like a broken radio. If it's even there, because once you stop listening, it kind of doesn't get much attention anymore, so it is undetectable. Tanya, let's see, now this is, we have thank you messages coming, and Jane says, that's the beauty of watching the pattern dissipate through investigation. False evidence appears real. Yeah, watching the mind, it as something that is happening in the field of awareness, in the consciousness or space that I am. It's not mine, it's just a passing phenomena. Tanya, would like to talk to you about that sometime, Caroline. Oh yeah, Tanya and Caroline will find each other, I'm sure. And bless one and all. I think it's time for ending, because we have thank you messages and the blessings, and thank you for being with us, and blessings to everyone.
Yeah, thank everyone for the amazing input that came through today.
Yeah,
there's a lot of clarity there.
Yeah, beautiful. And thank you for all the beautiful, clear sharing. Love you all. That's from Tanya. And love messages from John, Amarnath, from everyone. So thank you, and lots of love to everyone. We are neither field or perceiver of awareness, Nisargadatta. We are neither, there is no we. And yes, more thank you messages. So have a wonderful day or night or wherever you are.
Excellent.
Excellent. Bye-bye.